health insurance, so I was fine. You guys are a lot of fun. Are you guys ready for your next comedian of the evening? I said... Oh, good. I don't have to finish that sentence. You guys are teachable, and I like that. So we have a great lineup for you this morning. Your first comedian this evening was a finalist in the Funniest Person at Twin Ports contest. She's absolutely hilarious. Please give it up for Jessi Prouse, everybody.
Yeah, that's right, Jessi. Hello, everybody. You guys are gonna have to forgive me a little bit. I've had a bit of a day. Yeah, I realized nobody's liked one of my letterbox reviews in about 17 days, and that's really starting to kill me deep inside. Also, I got fucked inside the back of a car last night for the first time, and holy shit, that was way more of a workout than I was expecting. My thighs are screaming. Kind of wish I hadn't done it, but you know what? I woke up this morning and I said, Jessi, you gotta go to the Caddy Shack. You can't not go. It's time for some group therapy. This is where I get my therapy, my favorite therapy. So I love therapy, actually. It's kind of like getting in one of those Catholic confessional boxes where you can confess your sins, except the room's a lot larger and you have to pay a lot of money and there's usually less child rape involved. Yeah, between my ex and I, we had 3 therapists discussing our problems at the same time. And maybe if they had actually joined forces, they could have solved some of our problems or gotten us a little closer to fixing something. But my therapy people in here, and I see a lot of therapy people in here, yeah, you know that's not how it works. They don't want to actually solve your problems because then they wouldn't keep making money. So, yeah, they didn't. And it just goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on until somebody breaks. And in this case, I was the one who broke. I do gotta say before I keep going that I don't usually shit on my exes as much as I'm about to. But he really pissed me off last week. He invited me over to his house because he said he had one of my shirts. He found it in a sock drawer, also known as the mannequin in the basement. So I showed up to get it, and then he proceeded to yell at me for an hour about how me not wanting to date him anymore ruined his life. Whew, apparently I am quite valuable. Who knew? So I figured let's just dig in, have a little fun with this topic, yeah. So, kind of to summarize it, I ended a 6-year relationship with a crypto millionaire. Yeah, in this economy. And before you say, Jessi, how could you walk away from financial stability like that? I gotta paint you a picture of the masturbatorium he built in the attic of our house. And this is not a joke, this is a story of truth. Yeah, and before I go, like, you know, I'm no prude. I got nothing against masturbation. Absolutely no problem. Like, but there is a line that gets crossed eventually. So the first thing he did was take a 300-pound adjustable bed, a hospital bed. He bought that and had it moved up to the attic, which was so incredibly difficult to do. I'm sure it will be there when the house burns down eventually. Then he got a 72-inch screen television, and he had it mounted just 6 feet away from the bed, connected to his computer, and of course the wide range that is the porn buffet, that is the internet. And all that stuff I'm cool with. I'm a cool girlfriend. I'm fine with it. You guys do your thing, man, no problem. Then he got a mini fridge, and a freezer, and a microwave, because he didn't want to walk down 3 flights of stairs in order to get a lean cuisine. So now you just gotta picture this guy who's jerking off with one hand, eating Salisbury steak with the other. And I'm just standing there being a cool girlfriend. I'm okay with it. I'm really cool. I'm a good girlfriend, yeah. But then 4 years went by, and I couldn't be a cool girlfriend anymore because in those 4 years, he never once changed the mattress cover of his masturbatorium bed. So I watched as this yellow stain just kept forming in the shape of his body over the years, kind of like a chalk outline at a crime scene. And that's that's when I really couldn't do it anymore. Yeah, that kind of struck me deep. But, you know, he wasn't all bad. He did do a couple nice things. He moved us to Duluth. I love Duluth. Duluth's one of my favorites. I did live in Washington State for a while, and Washington State is actually kind of similar to Duluth. It's both very beautiful, but Duluth definitely has fewer serial killers. Yeah. One night when I was living in Washington, Olympia, the capital, I came home from work. I lived in this apartment complex, and it was dark outside, very dark. It was pretty late. And I decided, time to take my trash out. So I take it out, no big deal. I open the bin. Yeah, there's a dead body in the fucking dumpster. I grab my trash and I run back to my apartment like a shield in front of me as if that serial killer's watching me because he's probably in a bush or something. I get back there. I call 911. The lady who answers makes me repeat body in the dumpster 3 times before she believes me, which is some police propaganda because you know that they are finding bodies out there left and right. But eventually she believes me and she sends the cops out. I see them out there with their flashlights. They're digging around in the bin. My cats and I are watching through the blinds. What's going on? What's happening? Finally, one of the cops comes to my door. He's got this shit-eating grin on his face. Yeah, he said it was a half-fuckable mannequin that was painted to look like a person. So, yeah, embarrassing. We all fuck up a little bit, I guess. Most definitely. Yeah, that was a really painful moment in my life, but it's okay. You know, I go back to my boyfriend moving us to Duluth, and it was a really nice thing that he did because I like this city, but you gotta know that he moved us here so he could be closer to his best friend's ex-wife, or not his ex-wife, his current wife, who is now the ex-wife of that best friend. Yeah, so that was fun. Yeah, she actually was one of the stars of the masturbatorium, one of the many rotating photos up there. Who knew Facebook photos could be so hot? It really kind of put me in this conundrum, you know? There's this part of me that's like, no, you shouldn't be saving Facebook photos like that. That's fucked up. But then there's this other part of me that says, where's my folder? Someone out there is saving my Facebook photos, right? Yeah? Come on, please. Come on, man, I just want to be part of the party. Like, me too. But, oh well, at this point I feel like I've got to date rape myself to get any action. That's okay, though. You know, that's actually not true. I've had way too many boyfriends. I wish I didn't, based on my dating history. I kind of date a lot of creepers. I don't mean to, but it's just what happens. I guess I have to blame myself there. Yeah, I don't mean to keep shitting on this one ex, but I'm gonna shit on him a little bit more. Yeah, sorry guys. Well, no, I'm not, but yeah, so he really wanted to go to a strip club because he'd never been to one before. And instead of just being brave and saying, let's go to a strip club, he targeted the one virgin in our friend group who was 30 years old and said, we gotta get him to go out. And the fun thing about this friend is he called himself a wizard because in Japan, if you reach the age of 30 and you're still a virgin, that's what they call themselves apparently, a wizard. So it was the strangest, weirdest, saddest level of cultural appropriation I have ever seen. And of course, after days, my ex gave up because he couldn't talk him into going to the strip club, and he finally said, well, I guess we gotta go anyway. Okay, we'll go. So it's me, him, and a bunch of friends, and we go there. And that's where I watch my boyfriend of many years at that point become utterly enthralled that he can just stand there and stare directly into the stripper's eye of Mordor. Yeah, and I don't mind, like that's fine. I don't blame the strippers at all, you know, but it's like, Jesus, Frodo, how are you that fascinated by a random deep-fried clam in Canal Park? I don't blame the strippers though, like they are just doing their job. And you know, I think Club Saratoga is fucking them over, big time. If you've ever been there, you will know in the back of the building there is a very entertaining side dish. there are the taxidermy squirrels. They're cute as fuck. They get to wear clothes and do activities. Strippers don't get that. Yeah, it's kind of the best taxidermy I've seen since I've been out to New York City. In New York, I went to the Museum of Natural History. Yeah, I walked around, I saw thousands and thousands of corpses of animals there, and somehow by the end of it, I no longer was interested in the art of stretching dead animal skins over styrofoam bodies and filling them with cotton, especially because it started to make me think about aliens and how much I don't want to be a hypocrite when they show up and I'm screaming, no, no, don't stuff me and mount me. I mean, of course they're going to want to do that, but I reserve that only for my Tinder dates, personally. Yeah, I've been thinking about why Kamala and Trump kind of fell apart. Yeah, I hate getting into politics. I really, really do, but I'm going to do it just a little bit here because I did not like the way Kamala labeled the Republicans as weird. Republicans aren't weird, they're just assholes. You know who's weird? Goth kids and furries. When I was a kid, I used to tell my mom, Mom, people at school are calling me weird. And she would just look at me and say, Jessi, there's nothing wrong with that. So stop cutting yourself. That's what you gotta do sometimes. Yeah. But in the end, I kind of think that there's nothing that's gonna stop it because weirdness abounds and Trump really latches onto those things. His alt-right base loves weird things, particularly aliens. And I think if Biden had come out and actually showed us the truth about UFOs, maybe Trump wouldn't have won, but oh well. So, Trump and his UFOs, he's definitely going to do it just because I think his base would lose their shit for him if he does it. I keep seeing little headlines and I'm getting spooked by it, but because I honestly am going to be really upset if I have to say, so there's something Trump did that I like. Yeah, that will be very painful for me to do. The alt-right, though, like, they've been coming for my X-Files territory for years. Oh, it's like every time you go to a Bigfoot convention, it's also half of an NRA rally. And this just isn't fair, because, like, I've spent my life feeling like a more attractive, slightly less horny version of Fox Mulder. And I just want to believe. I really do. But it's hard to believe sometimes. I had a friend actually ask me, Jessi, do you believe all this bullshit you say? If you put a gun to your head, Jessi, and you said, is Sasquatch real, yes or no? I'd say yes every time because it's a win-win either way. Yeah. Yeah, that's, yeah. I shouldn't make suicide jokes, I really shouldn't, because when I lived in Washington State, I lived 10 minutes away from Deception Pass, which is the second most popular place to commit suicide in the United States. It's super beautiful there. I spent a lot of time down there. A lot of time. Became a bit of a bridge expert. So when I got here, the first thing I was like, oh, look at that Duluth lift bridge. Yeah, that's a good bridge. Like, she's tall and she's deep. She's usually got 2 men inside of her. I'd fuck that bridge. Oh yeah. She's not gonna make any suicide record lists, but I'd do her. Yeah. I know I shouldn't be making suicide jokes, but I'm going to. Yeah, so I stopped smoking weed recently, and I probably shouldn't have done that. That was a mistake, but I just wanted to get my clarity back, and when I did, I realized, Jessi, you're fucking stupid. Who stops smoking weed at the end of the world? This is the time to start smoking weed if you're one of the 7 people who haven't already. So that's something that I'm dealing with, and it's made Thanksgiving, going home to my family in Michigan, a lot less interesting. I used to just pop those edibles as soon as I got off the plane and just wait for my mom to pick me up, and then everything's just rolling. And I love Thanksgiving because I get to see my twin sister. It's really weird having a twin She said if she had to do what I do on stage, she would poop, puke, and then die. That's a direct quote from her. She, however, has like an amazing, successful career, so I don't know what happened. We are definitely very opposites. So every time we go to Thanksgiving, I'm always trying to convince her, please, Jamie, start an OnlyFans with me. We would make so much money. I know it'd be weird at first, but you know, whatever, you get over it, yeah. The one thing I don't like about Thanksgiving and going home to my parents is that my dad's got the news on 24/7. And the news is so depressing. It actually makes me miss 9/11. It wasn't that bad. Yeah, you know, the suicide prevention hotline number was started shortly after 9/11. So, like, you can put that in the pro column. Sometimes when I start thinking about 9/11 and suicide jokes, I also have to think, Jessi, think about cats for a little bit. I love cats. Cats are one of my favorite things ever. I was actually on a walk when we had one of those 80-degree days like 2 weeks ago, and I'm just walking through Duluth and I see this cat on a porch, and I start having a conversation with him. We're talking, we're having a good old time, and then this lady leans out the door and has the audacity to say, hey, that cat's not homeless. And I just had to look at her and say, well, obviously, he's unhoused. Yeah, she scooped that cat up and took him back inside so fucking fast. I felt like a pedophile at the park all over again. Yeah. Boy, I probably should have had more than 2 cum shots for breakfast this morning. I didn't realize I would have to be performing this long, but that's all right. I definitely don't mind. You know, people are shitting on Ohio way too much these days. Ohio's not that bad, guys. Ohio has Cedar Point, and it has the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Yeah, some of you know what I'm talking about. That's where the aliens actually are. They're not in Roswell. That's just a way to distract you. Yeah, no, they're definitely there. So is the most serial killers are produced in Ohio. That's reality. They don't stay there. They move around, but the most of them are born there. And I kind of think about the aliens all way too much because I'm just kind of waiting for them to show up. And I haven't been abducted. Has anyone here been abducted by aliens? Does anybody have an abduction story? Okay, you can come to me privately after, and we will talk about this more in depth. You can email me, Jessi Prouse at jessiprouse.com. Yeah. I would love to hear your story. I got a book about flying saucers at a Goodwill recently. This book was published in the, I think, early 70s. And I shit you not, the very first chapter is about a UFO in Duluth, 1968, in Lake Superior. No one I talked to has heard of this before. So if any of you have grandparents or anyone who knows anything about this, you are required to come and talk to me. Required, please. I can't handle not doing it. Yeah. You know, I think that's all I've got to say. So I will introduce Chad, our wonderful host, Chad.
Jessi Prouse, everybody. I actually didn't know this statistic about serial killers who were born in Ohio and then moved to other states like Minnesota. So, hi guys. I also can't imagine what kind of like fuck off money you have to build a separate room just to jack off in. Like I just have to use the other rooms of my house that are already there because I don't want to move the drum set. Like,